Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world, talking about the team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. So, doing a live today, just, hopping on, talking about a few things. There's actually quite a bit to talk about right now. And we're going to get to all that. We're going to talk a little bit about a former player. We're going to talk about some good news and some maybe not so good news, and some brutal truth that we're going to talk about as far as the Raiders in their current state heading into the draft. Talk about a current player who's got a little bit of question mark by his name. Some latest draft buzz and some of your mailbag questions. It's something new that we're doing. I'm calling it the State of Raider Nation Mailbag. I'm just going to, talk about some of your comments and questions, just stuff that's popped up that I find very interesting. Hope you guys do too. Who we have in the on the live right now? Go ahead and sound off if you're here. Want to make sure everyone can be addressed. Normally, I don't like to waste too much time heading into the start of these lives, but I do want to give you guys a chance to get settled in. But before we get started, I want to make sure everyone please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's a great way to support the channel. It's absolutely free to do. And it's the bare minimum you can do to support this channel besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video, which I always do appreciate. All right, now that that's out of the way, a little house cleaning. I need a little house cleaning. Okay. While people are jumping on, I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that happened recently. Bro, time has not healed all wounds, because I made a video about Derek Carr potentially faking an injury, and I got blasted. And here's the funny thing. People thinking, oh, you hate Derek Carr and this and that. Look, I'm going to be really honest with you guys. What I hate is inauthenticity. People who are fake. People who don't portray themselves honestly. That's what I despise that. And I don't care if you don't like me, as long as you know who I really am as a person, get the time to know me. It doesn't bother me if you don't like me. That's okay. But what bothers me is when people make snap judgments about me. I don't like to make snap judgments about people. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Even if I've known they've done terrible things in the past, I'm not going to excuse it, but I'm going to hold my interactions with them separate from their deeds, because we all have some skeletons in the closet. And honestly, this whole Derek Carr thing came up last Friday. I had like 5 days to make a video, and I didn't touch it because it wasn't a Raider topic. I didn't really care. It became a Raider topic when mainstream media got a hold of it, and we're like, dude, this sounds fishy. This is like, it wasn't. The thing is, the video that I made it wasn't my words saying it. It was me reporting on what other people said. Like Diana Rossini from ESPN, right? Jim Miller from NFL Network, or NFL Radio, excuse me. Mike Florio and Chris Sims from Pro Football Talk. These are people that make their money talking about the NFL, and they're like, yeah, this is really phony. This is like super fake, right? So I wasn't coming down on the dude. Look, he's not my favorite person. I mean, that's why let me back up. He wasn't my favorite player. Personally, I don't wish anything bad on the guy. But I was getting absolutely blasted. Because people were like, oh, why are you talking about him? This and that, and I'm like, dude, it's a Raider topic because look, he's kind of painting the Saints into a corner, and the Saints have to show their hand now. They got to show their butt. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got to show their hand, and that could be better for the Raiders, because now people that want to jump up for a quarterback, no, they have to jump ahead of the Saints. What does that mean? That means the price keeps going up as more teams want to jump up. That's a Raider topic to me. I don't know about you guys. That's a Raider topic to me. And like I said, I had 5 days to talk about this whole nonsense back and forth of is it a real injury? Is it not a real injury? And I didn't touch it. I didn't touch it until it became a Raider thing, which was the draft pick being more valuable. But man, Raider Nation was throwing some heat at your boy, but it's okay. I don't have a problem with that. I even mentioned at the end of the video, don't let this video change how you feel about this channel. It did happen, but it doesn't bother me much. Because I mean, ultimately, if that one video makes you not want to watch my channel anymore, it was going to be something sooner or later. All right, what's up, fellas? How's it going? I mean, look, we'll start here. There's some good news, man. I'll tell you something right now. I'm going to make a video about this in a little, coming out within the next week or so. But there's a lot of good things going on in Raider Nation, and I don't know that a lot of people are really paying attention to it, but it's quite a bit, man. It's quite a bit of fun stuff happening right now. Couple things here. First off, the Raiders have a massive upgrade over last season in head coach with Pete Carroll over Antonio Pierce. I liked Antonio Pierce. I thought he was great for the morale and for the culture of Raider Nation, but ultimately, culture is built through winning. That's how it's built. You can bring in an attitude, but an attitude does not necessarily mean culture. It could be the kindling, right? It can be what gets it started, but ultimately the foundation of a culture is winning. If you have if you have a culture on your team and your team is not winning, that is not a winning culture. And ultimately, Antonio Pierce, what he wanted to be, what he could be as a coach, topped out at what Pete Carroll is. So why not just get the guy that already is, right? Rick Rock, I heard your report on Derek Carr today, and it was a good report. I had no problems with that Raider report. Go to work, Soto. I mean, yeah, man. Alpacalypse, I, for one, enjoy your style of content. Keep it up. Thank you very much. Not everyone's going to like it, and that's fine. I'm just a little bit bummed that a video that someone doesn't agree with is going to cause, because I could tell you something right now. The people that were really upset did not finish the video. That's just a bummer to me because I make the content with context and people take it out of context sometimes. It's okay. It's fine. They'll be back. Another Quaalude and she'll love me in the morning. So look, we got to upgrade a head coach. We got to upgrade an offensive coordinator. We haven't had an offensive coordinator this good. I don't know if we've ever had an offensive coordinator this good. And we've had guys that were good offensive coordinators, but they weren't to the level of Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly is an offensive mastermind, and he's a lot of things that a lot of the guys who were supposed to be offensive masterminds aren't. One thing is, I don't know that Chip Kelly has a want to be a head coach like John Gruden. John Gruden wanted to be in charge of everything. I think Chip Kelly's gone that route. He kind of was disenfranchised a little bit with what happened in the NFL. He voluntarily demoted himself from UCLA because he couldn't handle the transfer portal nonsense. He just wants to coach. He just wants to coach offense. That's all he wants to do. Also, he's a little bit more flexible and in tune with how to handle the modern player, unlike Josh McDaniels. Those are two of the more recent offensive coordinator type guys that we've had as head coaches. And Chip Kelly, I believe, brings the best of both. It doesn't really bring the negative of both. He's not the power-hungry, guy that John Gruden was. And he's more flexible with the same amount of ability and knowledge offensively as Josh McDaniels. On top of that, we got a quarterback upgrade from the last few seasons. Hell, it could be a quarterback upgrade from the last 20 years. Who knows? But those three things by themselves offensively definitely are a step in the right direction. On top of that, we have 3/4 of our defensive line that were out for large chunks of the season last season. We have them back. I mean, I think we're primed for a comeback this season. If everything went right, okay, let's just talk about this for example. If everything went right last season, we were looking at maybe 10 wins. As bad as we were in some games up until, the middle of the second half. It's true, right? So a little better offense, a little better defense, a little better coaching. Well, maybe a lot better offense, a lot better defense, a lot better coaching. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Windows close quick in the NFL, but they also open quick too. And you got to strike when the iron's hot. There is no, this team is ready. This team is not 1 year away. No, no, no. You go out there and you play, and if you win, it's your time now. So nice. Here's the opposite end of that coin. And here's where the brutal truth comes into play. The brutal truth is we have some glaring needs on this team. Whether we want to admit them to ourselves or not, there are a lot of really strong needs that this team has that need to be addressed. Now, the good thing is we're picking at the top of each round, right? We have what, 6, 37, 68, 108, 143, 180 something, 220, 213, 215, 222, something like that. So we're picking it towards the top of every round, except for the comp picks we have in the sixth. Those two comp picks are later in the sixth round, but everything other than that is top of the round. So we got a lot of premium picks for the rounds. But unfortunately, we do have some glaring needs on this team. And I think the more honest we are about the needs that we have and how serious they are, I think the better we can address them. Because it doesn't do anyone any good to kind of sugarcoat things and kind of look through things through Raider tinted glasses and hope that they're, better than they are, because you don't win games on hope. You win it on talent and coaching and hard work. But I mean, we have really big needs on the offensive line, on the interior, for sure. We have need at linebacker. I mean, these guys, look, Devin White been up and down in his career. He's shown some promise, and maybe we can harness it, but ultimately, he was bounced around last season, and he really didn't play that much. When he did hang on with the Texans, he didn't play that much. On top of that, we have Landon Roberts, which I do love Landon Roberts. And I think the last time Landon Roberts was a starter was 2 seasons ago, and he had a great season. He led the Steelers in tackles and everything. Now, last season they got Patrick Queen, and he became the guy. He kind of like bumped Landon Roberts, which is fine. Patrick Queen's a better player. But now it's 2 years removed from that. How is he going to bounce back? Who knows? I think he's going to be a really good player, but there's a lot of unknown there. And also, he's a little bit older, and there's a lot of young guys underneath. Like, still, Devin White's still a younger guy. He's not 30 yet. And a lot of first, second year guys. So, these guys, if they're going to be players and ballers, they probably would have shown you a little bit something like that already. So there is some depth problem there at linebacker. And we all know the issues going on at corner. Need some guys there as well. On top of that, we have need at running back. We have need at wide receiver. Depending on who you believe, Aiden O'Connell may be on his way out. And we need, backup quarterback and depth there at quarterback. Who knows, man? There's quite a bit of need on this team, despite the fact that we're going to get we are a lot better at key spots. There is still a lot of work to be done. Now, we do have a lot of ammunition and time, and I do believe in the team of Spytek and Pete Carroll to be able to get this stuff done. But ultimately, we got to be honest with ourselves. This is going to be a tough go at it. This next season, if we turn things around, it's going to be solely on the back of the veterans that we have really pulling through hard. Because we do that, and hopefully we get some some game step up from some of these younger guys because we're still a pretty top heavy team. I know that we were trying to build depth through the draft, and we really swung and missed on a couple of guys. And this draft coming up, you don't need to necessarily hit a home run with every single pick in this draft. You don't need to, but you can't miss, especially the top five rounds or so. Like, you can't miss on these guys. 6th and 7th round, those are like, yeah, if you can catch a guy, catch lightning in the bottle with the guy, great. If you can get, a special teams depth guy, that's all really as much as you can ask for in the 6th and 7th round. But the top 5 rounds, we need to hit on these guys. And you don't have to hit home runs, like I said, but you got to at least not whiff on any of these guys. All right. So what are we going to talk about today? First thing we're going to talk about kind of leads into some of the offensive line issues that I think we may be running into. That, I mean, it may not have been an issue in our minds, but it's starting to creep up because the money gets in the way. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with these guys making money, but Kolton Miller did not show up to voluntary practice. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do my workout at home, don't worry. It's like, no, he's holding out. Now, the fines are just absolutely insane if you hold out on mandatory stuff. So this is really the only time that players have a chance to kind of voice their displeasure with their contract situation without getting fined is on the voluntary workouts. Now, is it a good look? Is it a bad look? I mean, I don't think it's really anything. I think Kolton Miller's been around long enough and proven the fact that he's, a leader on the team, that he's, I think they know that this is going to be a contract play here. All right. So main thing is Kolton Miller was nowhere to be found during the team's voluntary workouts the past few weeks. Now he's starting left tackle on the team, and he's coming back from a little bit of injury, but he wants a contract extension. You take a look at his contract, and it's not all that great. He signed a $54 million extension in 2021. All he has left on it for this season is $12.2 million, and all of that is non-guaranteed. It doesn't sit well with Kolton Miller having a fully non-guaranteed contract heading into his last season, seeing as he had an injury-plagued 2024. If he gets injured, they can just cut him, and that's it. They don't owe him any money. So that's an issue. One thing that we need to take a look at here is, I mean, there was pretty much a tale of 2 seasons for Kolton Miller last season. Now, the top offensive linemen, as far as dollar amounts go, you have like the Tristan Wirfs and the Penei Sewells, and those guys are like around $28 million a year. Kolton Miller was making about 23 on average, and what's left over is 12.2. He's about, I think that right, he's like about 15th in the NFL, which is right around where he should be. Is he one of the elite left tackles in the NFL? I wouldn't say that. Is he a good one? Yeah, he's a good one, and we're going to get to that in a second. But ultimately, you got to take a look at it. If you're a GM, what is Spytek going to do? Because John Spytek had a recent interview where he was talking about similar situations without talking about Kolton Miller specifically. He went on to say that extending guys like Maxx Crosby and stuff like that, that's on a case-by-case basis. Ultimately, you don't want to get a guy to go into his last year of his contract, because now he has more of the leverage as far as contract negotiations go, and he can go ahead and dip. But it is a case-by-case basis, according to John Spytek. And sometimes he even said that sometimes it's even better for the player to go into free agency and see what his value is across the league, as opposed to just signing a contract because he feels like the contract he's being offered is one that is fair. It all depends, man. Like, if you're a Spytek or a GM and you let a guy go into free agency, it better be a guy that you're okay with losing. Now, I'm not saying that you want to lose him or you're looking to lose the guy off your team, but if he does get a crazy offer from someone else, you're okay with letting him walk. Now, that happened quite a few times this last offseason. Robert Spillane and Trevon Merrick and Nate Hobbs, like those kind of guys all dipped because they got stupid money, right? They got crazy money to go elsewhere. And I don't think that the Raiders brass were really too hard up on losing those guys. I think they were okay. I mean, they would rather have them back, but not at the numbers that they were being offered. I think that's a very similar situation with Kolton Miller. I think that Spytek would rather have Miller back, but he doesn't want to overpay for a guy who's 29, going to be 30, especially when he had such a rough year last year. Now, let's take this into account. Okay, let's just look at this from a perspective of reality and fact. Overall, Kolton Miller had an okay season. It wasn't great by any means. Now, there's kind of a tale of two halves of this, or two types of seasons. The first 5 games of the season, Kolton Miller was really kind of coming back and trying to get right back. He didn't do a lot of the preseason work and stuff like that because he was still injured. Okay, so weeks 1 through 5, Kolton Miller gave up 6 sacks, 14 pressures. That's 6.6% of the pass blocking. He gave up a pressure. He gave up 9 hurries, 4.2%, and 2 hits and 211 pass blocking plays. Okay, 6 sacks in the first 5 weeks. That's not good. Okay, weeks 6 through 18, he gave up 1 sack, 24 pressures, that's 4.8%, down almost 2 whole percentage points. 16 hurries, 3.2%, that's down 1% from the first 5 games, and only 4 hits allowed in the remaining 505 pass blocking snaps. So, once he got healthier, he became the Kolton Miller that we remembered. Now, is he back? I don't know. I tend to think so. But I wouldn't necessarily just let him walk, right? I would try to talk to him about a contract extension, right? I would say, look, man, we want to do an extension for you. This is what we're thinking. If it's not what Kolton Miller is wanting or his people want, then let him go into free agency, right? And, offer him and say, you know what, whatever you get offered, just bring it back and see if we can get close. We want you to stick around. We don't want to insult you, right? But, if you want to go out there and you test the market and see how things are going, then go right ahead and test the market. I think they're going. Kolton Miller is going to go a similar route of the Spytek. I'm not sorry, Spytek. The Robert Spillanes and the Merricks and the Hobbs and Divine Diablos and those kind of guys. He's going to go. He's going to go out like that. It could be possible that we bring him back, like a Malcolm Kuntz. We brought him back, like an Adam Butler. Brought him back, right? But we brought him back on good deals. If Kolton Miller wants to play ball and stick around, he will. I think that, why would you get rid of a, still in his physical prime left tackle who's been a good left tackle for you for quite a few years if you don't have to? What you could do is you can draft a potential left tackle high and, shuffle the deck a little bit and groom him this season and, kind of see how he works after this year. And maybe you let Kolton Miller walk because you got a better option in this year's draft. So, he's Kolton Miller's turning 30 in September. This is going to be he's been a valuable starter for us. I'm not gonna down talk the guy. And you don't want to let a guy go. He's a quality starter. It would be silly just to let him go just because you want to. But ultimately, you don't get better by letting good players walk. Sign them to the right deal, but if you don't have the right deal, you just You'll be forced to let them walk, unfortunately. Sam Demand, thanks for the super chat. Much appreciated. You gonna go live during the draft? You and RJ? Oh, I know RJ isn't. I don't know, man. I'm still thinking about it, honestly, guys, because man, I want to enjoy the draft and listen to it and everything. And I can't just sit here and listen without talking to you guys. You guys are gonna get bored. You guys are not gonna want to watch. So we'll see, man. I think I might just do a wrap-up show afterwards. But the live shows, man, I've done in the last couple years, and they're brutal, man. Because like I'm having to talk, at least those guys on TV, on NFL Network and on ESPN and stuff. Even like the Barstool Sports guys and the Bleacher Report guys and all those do the ringers, the guys that have the streaming things. There's multiple people there talking. When I'm on the show, it's just me for like 3-4 hours. That's brutal, bro. Brutal. But I'm thinking about doing one afterwards, a recap. Yeah, because dude, I don't know, Max. First off, I want to enjoy the draft myself, and number two, I don't want to sit there and talk for 4 hours. You know, I don't even like talking. I don't even like hearing my own voice for an hour. You understand how hard it is to like edit these videos, watching myself and listening to myself? It's not pretty. I don't know if you guys have done it before, where you like heard your voice and stuff like that. Ugh, it's getting better, but dude. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do a post draft. I'm gonna do a post draft. I want to go live post draft. After as soon as the last pick is in, I'm gonna go live. I think on all 3 days. I'm gonna make that promise to you guys on all 3 days. I'm gonna do it. Okay. Speaking of the draft, let's talk a little bit about the latest draft buzz. So there's a little bit of uncertainty, I'll say, going on with the Raiders because they got needs, like I was talking about. They got needs up and down this roster. It just so happens that there's quite a few players, especially early, that can fulfill those needs. It's tough to predict what the Raiders are going to do because there's so much turnover. There's so much newness to this because there's a lot of players on this team that it's not only the fact that we have new decision makers, right? The Spytek and Pete Carroll combination. Also, the leadership up top and Tom Brady, that's new too, right? On top of that, we don't know how these players that are currently on the roster, how they fit in the plans of the decision makers. It's not all about just how they feel about the players who are looking to be drafted. You can see, like, for example, we're going to talk about him a little bit in a later video, but you talk about guys like, let's say, a Hunter Renfrow, right? He was looked at quite differently by John Gruden than he was by Josh McDaniels. Similar things could happen where a player could be a better high contributor, a high contributor under one coach and not really be used at all under another, or the other way around. So some of these needs that we think are needs may not be because the new regime is a lot higher on players that are there than the old regime was. And in inverse as well. Some things that we may not think are needs are going to be needs because the new regime doesn't think as highly of a player as the old regime. Who knows? That what leads to all this uncertainty, man. Now, the player that is being mocked to us by far, I'm talking about 10 times more than anyone else, is Ashton Jeanty, the running back from Boise State. I like Ashton Jeanty's game a lot. I think he's an excellent running back. One of the issues that I really am nervous about is his usage. Last season, he had almost 400 touches in only 14 games. So let's just kind of sit back and let that absorb, okay? He played 14 games, and he had damn near 400 touches. He had like 28 and a half touches per game. That's a lot. That's a lot of usage for a guy who's not really that big in stature. Now, I understand that a lot of running backs in the past had the similar usage rate, but I don't know, man. That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. Um, a lot of the big guys, the Kuipers, the McShays, the McFaddens, all these guys, the Fields Yates, these guys look at Ashton Jeanty as a game-changing type of running back. And I tend to see the same. I don't have an issue with his stature. I don't have an issue with his measurables. I don't have an issue with his measurements. I don't have an issue with anything involved with Ashton Jeanty. My issue is his usage rate in college. Look, if you're gonna touch the ball 400 times in a season and you fumble 4 times, dude, I'm okay with it. Because look, let me put this in perspective. Sam the Man, I see that. I see what you're saying here, Sam the Man. Does he fumble? Yeah, he fumbles. But let me put it to you this way. Ashton Jeanty ran for 2,600 yards last season. Okay. 1,900 of those yards were after contact. His depth of contact was under a yard average. So he wasn't getting this like crazy blocking from his offensive line. He was getting hit in the backfield or right at the line of scrimmage quite a bit. That just shows to the brilliance of Ashton Jeanty. I think that we take care of him a little bit. Don't give him a ton to work through like we do most we have a split time with him. I think it can definitely work. A lot of this mock draft season, I've been talking about how great I feel Ashton Jeanty is as a player. And I definitely do think he's a great player. But we have to take a step back and look at who's actually making decisions. The decision makers really are not 100% in tune with taking these types of players up high. What I think they're going to want to do more often than not is solidify the offense and defensive lines. I think they want to build from the inside out. And there's a lot of other players that can fit that mold for us, depending on who's available when we select that 6. Now, as I was talking about a little bit earlier, there's some trade rumors, and I think we should talk about that next. There's a couple of teams out there, the Bears at 10, the Saints at 9. They really want to I think they want to jump up and grab their guy. Trading down offers us some nice leverage, I think, especially when it comes to the Saints, as I was talking about a little earlier, just because the whole situation happening with Carr, it really kind of showed not all of the Saints' hand, but at least a couple of cards of their hand that they really want to go now that there can be a potential of not having their starting quarterback for the entire season due to shoulder surgery. The spotlight is now on the Saints to potentially move up in the draft to make sure they get a quarterback that they're looking for. Because let me tell you something right now, from everything that I've been hearing and people that I've talked to, I don't know that there's much of a difference in how the scouts and how executives see Shedeur Sanders as opposed to Jackson Dart. I think they're pretty neck and neck. I think that there's clearly Cam Ward is seen as the better prospect. But after that, Shedeur and Jackson Dart are right there, I think, neck and neck with each other. So we could see 3 quarterbacks go in the top 10. Now, why is this important? Well, because, and I talked a little bit about this in the Carr video that I made about his injury and how it relates to the Raiders. Now that the Raiders have Geno Smith, I don't know that, even though getting a quarterback is still a priority in this draft, I don't know if it's a top priority to go about it in the first round. Because of that, they're a potential trade-up partner, and if you only have to go down 3 spots, it's a pretty nice little trade to go back with the Saints. Now, with the spotlight being on the Saints and teams knowing that, hey, the Saints are probably going to try to move up, other teams are going to try to move up as well, which drives up the price of the pick, which is really all I care about. Drive up that price, man. Drive that price up. Let us get more draft capital for that pick because other teams are interested in it. So that's why it's kind of difficult to really pinpoint what the Raiders are going to do with this pick, because ultimately you have new decision makers. You don't know how they feel about the current players on the team, and you don't really know where they're going to pick because there's a really big possibility that we can trade back. Now, there's a lot of guys out available that can fit needs and really solidify different parts of this team and really elevate this team. I honestly feel in my heart that we're going to go big. If we stay at 6, we're going big. I think if Mason Graham is there, we're taking Mason Graham. It's probably going to be Mason Graham or Armand Membu. Those are the guys I think that we're going to go with. The issue that we're looking at here is which one is going to affect your team the most. Now, I've been of the opinion that you don't pass up on great, and I do feel like Ashton Jeanty is a great running back. However, if you can solidify a position group with a player and a position group that is so much further reaching than just the run game, also protecting your quarterback, stuff like that, that's a possibility. Now, you add on top of that the history of Spytek and Pete Carroll's draft history. It's been heavy on the line, especially on the offensive line. I wouldn't be mad at getting Armand Membu at 6 because he's definitely a tackle, right? He's your left tackle of the future. What you do is you put him in at right tackle. You kick DJ Glaze in at guard. You have Jackson Powers Johnson. You have everyone else. You have the three-headed monster of Kappa, Parham, and Meredith battle out for the other guard spot. And you got Colt Miller on the other side. That's a pretty damn good offensive line, if you ask me. Now, with that good of an offensive line and the quality of running backs in this draft class, the combination of the super high-end player being added to your line and a really good running back may be better than the elite running back and iffy/okay offensive line. If that makes sense. The combination may be better overall. And also long reaching, because if Colt Miller does end up walking, we have guys that are, DJ Glaze showed he can play right tackle at a really good level. And Armand Membu is going to have to learn quick to be a left tackle, which I think he can because he's very athletic and he's very young. He's going to be 21 years old during the season, dude. He's a young kid and he's really good. Another thing is, maybe corner, because there's a big need there. I think it's a pipe dream. I saw a mock draft where Travis Hunter fell to us at 6. I can't say with any certainty that he's going to be there or he's not going to be there, but it's pretty far-fetched that this dude's going to be there at 6 for us. I doubt it. But there's guys like, I made a video coming out soon about Jahdae Barron, who I think is amazing. He's an amazing player. I think he has the ball skills and the tenacity and the measurables to go out there and be a prototypical Pete Carroll guy, even though he's a little bit shorter than Pete Carroll likes. His arms are a little bit shorter, but he's a dog. There's Will Johnson, who has all the physical tools, who is built like a Pete Carroll corner, like he wants a Pete Carroll corner to be built. There's linebacker, right? There's Jalen Walker, who's a freaking stud. Jalen Walker can play linebacker and be an edge on a sub package. Some people are thinking he's like the next Micah Parsons out there. Like, forget Abdul Carter. No, it's Jalen Walker. That's the guy. I'm not going to argue with it. I think Jalen Walker's an excellent player. Excellent player. But we look at here is there's so much things happening right now in this draft, and there's so much uncertainty because we don't have very many positions solidified on this team. I think defensive line is pretty solid. I think our tight end room is pretty solid. Our special teams are pretty solid. I think our safety room is pretty solid. Starting quarterback is pretty solid. But other than that, wide receivers up in the air, running backs up in the air, interior offensive lines up in the air, linebacker, corner. Like, dude, there's a lot of stuff's up in the air, man. A lot of positions, a lot of directions we can go. And as long as we get an impact player, I mean, it's not really a bad one. If I had to put money on it, I would say we're going offensive line if Mason Graham is not available. If Mason Graham is available, I think we take him. If he's gone, I think we're going to take Membu. That's what I think. I'm not saying that's what I want to have happen, but that's just kind of like how I feel. Like, I get that itchy feeling inside. I think that's what I feel, given the draft history. There's also some quarterback chatter too later on. Will Howard is out there talking a big game. Now I'm gonna make a video about Will Howard and his comments, but John Gruden. Now look, these videos that John Gruden makes, he's in love with every rookie quarterback unless they're on his team, because John Gruden notoriously hates rookie quarterbacks. He loves them when he doesn't have to draft them and develop them, but when they're on his team, he doesn't like. So he loves all the quarterbacks out there. But he did call Will Howard a mini Josh Allen. I don't know. Josh Allen is special. I think Josh Allen is a special player. I don't think that's really debatable in this league. I think there's very few players that you go out there and you go, this guy is special. I think Josh Allen is one of them. To call Will Howard a mini Josh Allen, I mean, I think we might be able to get him in the 4th. I don't think it's a terrible pick. I think he ran the offense at Ohio State just fine. I don't think it's a terrible pick. I think it's going to be something pretty good out there for us. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about, man. There's so much uncertainty going on in this draft right now that we're looking at it and we're like, okay, there's a lot of stuff that's happening and a lot of stuff that we don't know. And it's like, it's not like we knew the whole, Mick Ziegler, right? JMD and Ziegler, we knew how they thought. It was a little bit more of a crapshoot with John Gruden and Mike Mayock, because who knows who they were going to take in the first round. After that, it was pretty much Mayock. So we went chalk a lot. But I don't know, man. We don't even really know who's making the final decision. I think I'd like to believe that it's Spytek was making the final decision. But ultimately, the final decision isn't really the final decision. These decisions are made on how the draft board is built. Let me give you a little insight of what's happening right now. These guys are coming together. They're bringing the position coaches. They're bringing the scouts in. They're getting all the information, all the intel, and they're making their big board. And they're fighting for certain guys to go up one spot on here and 2 spots there and blah, 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 and this and that. And they are mock drafting. Like, what happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? What happens if this guy slides? Do we trade up? What's the point that we're comfortable trading up to get this type of guy? They're doing all the scenarios in their heads. Because look, to trade up a round is going to cost you X amount. Do you think this player is worth trading up X amount to get? Is he that much better than the guy after him? And you do that with pretty much every single player out there. That's what we're doing. That's what they're doing right now. They're really grinding these decisions down. And right now is where the fights happen. Right now is where the heads clash and all that stuff. It happens now, because once you have your draft board built, it's done. You set it and forget it. You just kind of play off of what we have. Thomas Wolf. I wish I was high, but ultimately, Thomas, none of us can say with any certainty that a player will or will not be, because none of us know. I think there are certain players that we have a very good view that they're going to go in the first round. There's a certain blue chip guys. I do like Will Howard a lot, but he's not a blue chip guy. So you can't really tell with any type of certainty where he's going to go. Could he be there in the fourth? Maybe. Will he be gone? Because the quarterback, once you get past, like, look, there's like the top 10 players in a draft. Then there's like 11 through 30, 35-ish around there. Then you get like 35, 36 to like 55, 60. After that, it's a crapshoot. Who knows? You know? Who knows after that? But yeah, that's why there's so much uncertainty in this draft now, because we don't know how this dynamic is going to work. I think if you leave it up to if it's just a spy tech move, I think it's going to be offensive line all the way. For sure. All right, guys. Well, we're going to start a new show right now, a new segment. The State of the Nation Mailbag. So I took a couple of questions from you guys and a couple of comments. And I wanted to talk about it with you guys. I think it's going to be pretty fun. Okay. Raider Nation 2769 says, I agree that different opinions is a damn good thing. It's called innovation communication. We can't grow without it. Otherwise, we all agree on everything? Question mark. How is that productive? And where's the lesson in that? I know I'm one that can be kind of hard on you, Soto, but it's all in love and wanting to see your success because you're entertaining and funny. Good stuff today. This is in response to the Derek Carr video that I made. And at the very end, I said, look, if you don't agree with me about how I feel about what's going on with Derek Carr and how that affects the Raiders, that's fine. I don't have a problem with you disagreeing with me. But if you ever find somebody that you agree with 100%, one or both of you are phony, because that just doesn't happen. There's no way that you can agree with somebody on everything. Someone's making concessions on one time or another. All right, next one. David King Raiders, 7294. BS, it was completely and 100% Josh McDaniels' fault for the downfall of Hunter Renfrow. Josh McDaniels had a Hunter Renfrow doing simple seam routes and square ins and square outs. Everybody knows that is not the strength of Hunter Renfrow. He's a shake and baker that knows how to get open. That is why they call him third and Renfrow. That is in response to a short that I made about Hunter Renfrow and his potential being a Raider again and coming home after he met with the brass about a comeback. Now, I will say one thing. The styles of Hunter Renfrow and of Josh McDaniels just didn't mix. Josh McDaniels was even more harsh and more rigid than John Gruden. Now, John Gruden is notoriously rigid. Run the play the way I tell you, and it'll work. Josh McDaniels was the same way. Now, there was an interview that Hunter Renfrow made where he talked about when he started to really be a lot more productive early on in his NFL career. And he said when he started doing things his own way and not exactly how John Gruden told him to do it, that's when he started to really take off. Now, John Gruden, being a more experienced head coach, was able to give Hunter Renfrow that leeway. Josh McDaniels, on the other hand, didn't. So I can see where those like David King Raiders 7294 said, Hunter Renfrow is a shake and baker. He needs to set you up and do a couple different moves and he'll get open. That's not how you can run inside of a Josh McDaniels offense. He will not put you on the field if you're not where you're supposed to be exactly how he tells you to be there. It's control freak, but that's who he is. And that's the main reason why I thought they butted heads. All right, next. Marty Farrell, 7672. Spytek said in one of his press conferences that his preferred method to take a tackle and move them in. That's why, for me, I think Membu is in play. Put Meredith on one side, plays the other of Jackson Powers Johnson with Membu and Miller. You've got an offensive line. I can win you some games. All right, I'm gonna do a little. Can we do a little editing here, guys? Everybody wants Jeanty, but you get the best running back behind an okay line, and the running back is just going to be okay. You get a good running back behind a great line, and you have a great running attack. Whew. I tend to agree with that. I tend to agree. I really do feel like right now, the more sound way to go is to go with the stud offensive lineman and wait a little bit to get a running back. Although I do love Ashton Jeanty. If we do end up trading back and Jeanty is still available, it's going to be really hard to pass him up twice. The first time being a trade back and the second time, drafting somebody else. But if you do draft Ashton Jeanty, you better have a damn good answer for your offensive line. A damn good one. So I really do agree with Marty Farrell right now on this one. I think we need to solidify this offensive line. And there's a couple of guys that are maybe available to us that can do that. All right, guys. Last one. Steven Stallings, 2136. This is in response to the Carr video. You're pathetic, talking crap about Derek Carr. You have no idea what kind of person Derek is. Obviously, you are clueless. Everyone is an expert on the draft and knowledge of football, but none of you can actually play the position. I'm out on your podcast. Let me be the first one to say, Steven Stallings, they're 2136. Sad to see you go, man. I think that we could have had a very beneficial partnership between us. I think that your view and your comments were essential to the success of Raiders versus the World. And I think that not having you around anymore is going to be severe detriment to the entirety of this podcast now and in the future. If you ever wanted to come back, myself and the rest of Raider Nation would welcome you back with open arms. But if that weren't to happen, I wish you well. And I'm not going to say goodbye. I'm going to say see you soon, because they come back. They always come back. I'm dead inside, guys. None of this bothers me. Oh, man. Yeah, Sam the man, we will miss him. You will be missed, sir. You will be missed, Steven Stallings. And if you ever wanted to come back, no hard feelings, man. No hard feelings. I hope he does. Look, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be completely honest, and I'm going to be very clear about that. I am a jerk. If I'm cool with you and I know that something bothers you, I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to pick and tease and pick and pick. That's just who I am. But I can take it too. That's the thing. Maybe I'm just, I don't know, wired differently. Who knows, right? Whatever. It happens, man. It happens, and that's okay. I'm doing this more to laugh at the situation, not at Steven Stallings. Steven Stallings, you're good, man. You're good with me, bro. Don't even trip. I'm clueless and I'm an idiot and all this stuff and pathetic. That's fine. I don't take any of this personal. Trust me. If I ever see you out and about, rest assured the first beer is on me. Okay? Don't even trip. You guys, come on, man. Be nice. Let's be nice. Thomas Wolf, sorry, but so does 100% on when it comes to car. Okay. Manny's like, okay, let's play the violin. Sam Demand, hard feelings. What do you know about hard feelings? Where's that one from? That's a good one. Manny with the broken heart. Raiders Allegiance, come on, man. Be nice. May he get the wrong shot for his STD. Come on. Space Beast. It's also called being a real Raider. Manny's laughing. Manny, it's all good, hon. We can roast on him on your behalf. I'm not advocating bullying, but I think bullying does have its purpose. Again, Steven Stallings 2136. I appreciate your comment. Even when I lose, I win, because your comment and your view helps my algorithm and helps everyone here get better content, because this is just hilarious. If you guys really want to roast me, there's plenty. I'm old. I'm bald. I have 2 cats. It's all good. I'm a Raider fan. Jeez. What else is there? All right, guys. Look, we're slowing down here. I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you very much for listening today. I really appreciate you guys. Look, this is the grassroots, man. We're over 1,800 subs. We're almost towards 1,900, barreling down towards 2,000. My goal is to hit 2,000 by the end of this month. I think we can do that. I want to make sure everyone, please, to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It's a great way to support. Subscribing is absolutely free. To give you a little peek behind the curtain, so having more subscribers and more views and more engagement, more content, more comments and things like that, likes, that stuff does matter. It helps build a community, because ultimately YouTube wants to promote the videos that have more engagement. If you guys engage with this video, it really helps this channel out quite a bit and allows me to do more things for you guys. I want to do live meet and greet. I want to do live on location shows. I want to do giveaways. I want to do all that stuff. But ultimately, it's going to start with you guys, because you guys are the ones that are going to help me make that happen. All right. All right, guys. Again, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Really, from the bottom of my heart, man. We've been doing this all on our own. I think it was the 13th of January when I started putting this channel up, and we're already almost at 2,000 subs, and it's all because of you guys, man. I love Raider Nation. I bleed silver and black, and I want to make sure you guys know that I do all this for you guys, man. I don't just sit here and sit in front of this computer and this camera and just start talking because I want to hear myself talk. I really don't. I don't like hearing myself slur to these things either, okay? But yes, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It's a great way to support the channel. It's absolutely free to do, and it's the bare minimum you can do to help support this channel, besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video, which, of course, I do appreciate. Also, turn on the notifications, man. That way you know whenever I drop a video or I'm going to go live, you'll know just like that. All right, guys, that's my time. I appreciate you. Till next time, everybody. Peace.